Before the world opened its eyes, she was already awake, not because she had slept enough, but because mothers often make peace with exhaustion, long before they make peace with hunger. Every morning, she shaped bread with fingers cracked by winter and work. And every morning, she counted the pieces carefully. One for her husband, one for her little daughter, and sometimes none for herself. But children do not notice sacrifices. They only notice love when it arrives dressed as ordinary things. Warm bread, combed hair, a blanket fixed at midnight, a hand resting on the forehead during fever. The daughter grew like spring after a long winter, bright eyes, carefree laughter, dreams larger than the tiny house they lived in. And the mother, she became thinner, quieter, more invisible, like candles do when they spend their whole life giving light. One winter arrived harsher than the others. The winds slipped through broken windows. The nights became cruel, and sickness quietly entered the mother's body like an unwelcome guest. But poverty does not pause for pain. So she kept sewing clothes at night under a dim lantern, stitch after stitch, cough after cough, just so her daughter could stay in school. One evening, the little girl came home excited. "Mother, the school trip fee is due tomorrow." The mother smiled immediately. Because mothers are strange creatures, their hearts break silently, while their faces continue protecting others from a sound. That night, she opened an old wooden box. Inside it lay her last possession of value, a pair of gold earrings given to her on her wedding day. She held them for a long time, not because she loved gold, but because they carried the memory of a life where she once belonged to herself too. The next morning, the earrings were gone, and the daughter went on the school trip smiling brightly, without knowing she was carrying the price of her mother's memories. Years passed. The little girl became a successful woman, a doctor. People admired her intelligence, her kindness, her patience with suffering. But no one knew. She had simply inherited her mother's soul. Then one day, while searching through old belongings, she found the wooden box, empty, and beside it, a tiny folded paper in her mother's handwriting. It read, "My daughter, if life ever becomes difficult, these earrings, your dreams matter more than my memories." In that moment, for the very first time, the daughter understood something devastating. Her mother had been feeding her with pieces of herself all along. Not just bread, not just comfort. Her youth, her sleep, her warmth, her hunger, her dreams. And suddenly, every unnoticed sacrifice returned at once, like waves crashing against the shore of her heart. That night, she sat beside her sleeping mother's old bed and wept the tears that children cry when they finally become old, enough to understand love.